Welcome to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Join us as we review our favorite RPGs, collectible card games, MMOs, video games, PC games, and bring up interesting topics and things that we'd like to share with everyone. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hello, darling. How are you? Oh, and you... Oh, it blew your head off? What a tragedy! So, good evening. I assume that Kurt once again was handling you before we arrived and preparing you for the onslaught, as it were.
Doesn't Kurt always do that?
He really does tend to, handle people before we finish them. You had to feed him a lot of which? Grief!
They gave him grief because he couldn't get a date.
Hello, darling. Yes. Quoi?
Your cup runneth over.
No, not quite.
No.
Trust me. I
No,
put it there.
the bottom of the cup is more hidden than you realize.
It's like an iceberg.
I have TARDIS cups. Everyone look at Matthew. Hello, Matthew.
Hello. We love you.
We actually do. We've been talking about you for the last 24 hours and what a very, very
Accommodating.
good, delightful, young man you are. You're welcome. No, thank you, actually. So ostensibly, oh my God, they gave me a microphone. No, we know what to do with that, don't we? Has everyone seen me abuse microphones this weekend? No. No. Who knows who we are? A few of you know us, but some of you are new. Look, I like your purple ensemble, darling. What is your name?
Katie.
Katie. Please promise me you're 18 or over.
More than promise.
Thank you, because I very much like that purple ensemble. Now, do you like tea, darling?
Very much.
Oh, good. So I'm Madame Askew, and I do a number of things, but most of them revolve around tea and silliness and a great deal of innuendo. No, you're not ready to be finished, darling. We're not fully steeped yet. And this delightful woman next to me.
Four.
I'm quick. You've got to keep up with where my tongue is going. So, this delightful lady next to me is Mistress Margie.
Hello.
No last name. Don't ask. I promise. She won't tell you. And she's from the DC office, but we don't know what it's the office of, or why she was sent here, or why she's following us about. But it happened after an untoward incident with a radioactive spider, exploding teapots, and untoward tentacles. You know
Actually,
what?
it was Thursday night.
It was a Thursday.
Sounds even better.
Friday involved wheels. It's much more
Sounds like
exciting.
a college party. Or wait, an average college night.
It was a tea party.
Obviously.
Right. I mean, that's the way we throw tea parties, isn't it, darling?
Yes.
Yes! So Mistress Margie and I are part of the temporal entourage, and we're basically, essentially, time-traveling tea fiends. Which means that we're looking for the best cuppa across the universe. And through space and time. We're happy to go across dimensions too. I mean, oh, Alice. Hello. You've been to a few dimensions, haven't you, darling?
And a few tea parties.
Oh, more than a few, I think. I mean, I bet you know your tea.
Quite possibly.
Now, I'd like a show of hands. I mean, both of them, because, really. Who likes tea here? Both hands? Both of them. Thank you.
Tea. Who likes
Good.
tea?
Oh, wait a minute. I see people who are hiding their hands.
They're in the back. Everyone look.
No, there's this couple here. They're very charming.
Everyone point.
You know, in France, I should tell you, that when you're at a dinner party, it's not considered polite to keep one hand under the table. Do you know why? They suspect what you're doing with that hand. And at tea parties in France,
Cheese.
well, you could be going for the untoward cheese. The brie that no one expects. You know, I like a triple cream, really.
I like triple cream.
That's right. But
So smooth.
so
Goes down
rich.
easily.
But you know, the thing is, though, at a tea party, you want to make sure that you put your brie with something else. Maybe something a little bit more pert and piquant and forthright, if you know what I mean. What? Quoi? Oh, it's 10:36. Then 10:37. Are you giving me a minute by minute? I love you. You're lovely. I have actually not imbibed tea today, which explains quite a lot. However, I imbibed other things.
I believe it was whiskey tea.
Quoi?
Whiskey tea?
Oh, whiskey tea. Yes, it's a Scottish tea. So, the history of tea is a fascinating subject, and we might actually be slightly edifying this evening.
Some of what we say might actually be true.
And honestly, it's up to each of you to do your own internet foo and Googlefy whatever we say. Should you run into an actual tea sommelier or run to a tea house and proclaim to them, no, gunpowder green tea will make you go all night. You should, research that first.
Coffee.
Oh, did you say the C word?
Yep.
What's your
Philistine.
name?
His name is Philistine.
Philistine.
We'll call him Phil for short.
All right, Phil. From Overland. What does it say underneath that?
Trout?
Are you Overland trout? I mean, there's a lot I could say about
Journal.
fish. Oh, wait, why are we
Journal.
talking journal?
It says journal, not trout.
Oh, thank heaven.
I'm wearing my mid-range glasses. I had to guess.
I mean, I was thinking about fish, and my brain was...
Cods.
Ooh, yes, cods. So,
The fish.
so
It's a deep ocean fish. Firm white flesh. Goes well with chips. Codfish.
I had a conversation with a gentleman earlier that essentially, mostly what I think about is the word codpiece.
Always?
Frequently. So I dip my bag of Darjeeling in the middle of the semester when I'm relegated to nothing but the sweepings off the floor, stuffed into my bag of tea, deep, firm, but sweepings nonetheless. So it's just a quickie. It's not very satisfying. Quickly dipping in and out and in and out and hoping my tea will come to fruition. And all I can think about is how many gentlemen at this convention will wear cod pieces.
I'm not sure I've seen a single one.
Oh, I have.
Good.
Yes, darling.
Oh, no, I wear one most.
Oh!
Right now?
Oh, I thought you had a question or an answer or, But I'm glad to hear.
I like cod pieces.
We are fond of them when we're,
We are.
now we make corsets, but we've both made them.
Actually,
Cod pieces, that is.
once upon a time, for an organization that shall remain nameless, I was enjoined to make the cod piece of penance.
I once made a cod piece upon which you could throw hoops. It was for a competition. Like a hoop throwing thing. Yes, darling.
Twigs and Berries is downstairs.
I love Twigs and Berries. I heard they have a Godzilla-shaped cod
They
piece.
do indeed.
They do. Oh, how lovely.
It decimated Tokyo.
It decimate Tokyo. Is that what the young people are calling it? So, but tea. That most delightful of beverages, the champagne of the world. In fact, tea is the most popular beverage in the earth, or on the earth. That's the proposition we use. Or is it preposition?
Proposition is say, hey.
Hey, Phil, could I provide you a proposition about tea?
Maybe.
Matthew, can we proposition you with tea?
Sure.
That's the answer!
Excellent answer! Team Astronomy,
No one said I was normal.
how do you feel about propositions regarding tea? Thumbs up, thank you. So Team
I like
Astronomy
thumbs too.
and Matthew, hello Matthew,
Hi.
understand the game, which is to say yes to the propositions about tea, apparently.
About tea.
About tea.
Okay.
So, but we were talking about prepositions, weren't we?
On, in.
On the earth. So, tea is in fact the most popular drink on the earth.
And it's not just because the Chinese outpopulate everyone else right now.
No. They've been working very hard at that. Even with certain legal issues.
Well, they've been at it for a very, very long time.
They have. And actually, they've had access to tea for a very, very long time. Extraordinarily long time. And so the thing is that tea actually sort of originates in China, but in a broader, longer sense, originates from the entire lengthy coast of Southeast Asia, all of that property covered in tea.
All of that property covered in property.
Who knows what tea is?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Do you even know what we're talking about?
Okay, so
tea!
No, raise your hands again.
Both hands, remember, we're French tonight.
Okay, so
Oh, good job.
This tallish gentleman with the glasses right in the middle here.
Oh, hello.
You.
What's
You
your
raise
name?
Nicholas.
What is it?
Nicholas.
Nicholas. Hello, Nicholas.
Tell
How
us
are
what
you?
tea is.
Well, I thought I knew what tea was.
Well, tell us what you think tea
I
is.
mean, I
Have Have we put you on the spot?
Yes? He's not getting out of it either. Leaves?
You're deep in it now, Nicholas.
But we're not going to let you go until you finish.
He's steeped in
He is steeped in it. I mean, there are all sorts of things you could say about what is tea. Is it merely a beverage that titillates and percolates and
Caffeinates.
yes, and exuberates a person in the morning? Does it keep you going all day into the night?
Does it allow you to keep going through the night?
It can relax and smooth. Good answer. Well, sometimes you want to smooth the way
Yes.
with tea. I mean, you don't always want a harsh finish when you're drinking tea.
Yes.
Now, I know occasionally you do want a harsh finish when you're drinking tea, Mistress Margie.
Only when I'm in the right mood.
True.
Sometimes that bite at the very end is very nice.
I mean, sometimes I just like to let my tea settle and sort of percolate until I'm ready to dive right in. But smoothing and easing the way, 2 thumbs up for that.
Absolutely.
We're big fans.
Okay, so let me go ahead and ask a leading question. Is mint tea tea?
No, it's a Tisane. Who said it was a Tisane? Hi, how are you? I've seen you a lot.
Yes, I love you guys.
Well, I love you, darling. That is a delightful. Is it a scarf or a chapeau?
It's a scarf.
It is a marvelous scarf, and I really love the delightful yoke on your ensemble.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome. So it is, in fact, a Tisane, which will not sort of, invigorate the soul in the same way that a tea will, because it has no caffeine in it.
So tea, in the words of a fairly popular cartoon, is hot leaf juice, but that leaf has to come from the tea plant.
Or the camellia with something with an S word at
There's
the
Latin
end.
involved.
There's a lot of Latin. But anyway, this camellia is not the camellia like we think of the camellia in the south kind of camellia. The southern United States camellia. It's a camellia that is sort of the camellia that they think of as the camellia in the southern part of Asia kind of camellia.
That they call chai.
Sometimes.
Or cha.
Cha in Malay, which is a variety of Chinese. Thank you. That was good. I mean, I'm pulling hard on it, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. Quoi?
It's a long branch.
It is a long branch. In fact, the camellia that is the camellia in Southeast Asia, from which camellia plant they derive tea. Eventually, I'll say camellia enough that it's funny. Actually can grow into a full tree. It doesn't just become a small bush that you can hold in your hand. It's like a tree, a whole tree with branches. And those branches are covered in little leaves. And those leaves are plucked gently, gently, gently by little delicate hands to end up dried for your pleasure.
After you reconstitute them with warm liquid.
But first you dry them slowly, generally over some sort of fiery device. So you heat them and dry them at the same time, sort of preparing them, and sometimes you oxidize them. I'm not even sure how that's kinky, but I'm pretty sure if you're oxidizing things, it's exciting. It involves oxygen. I mean, I like oxygen. I use it all the time.
It's how you die.
You have to lay it out into the open.
Well, you do lay it out out in the open. You spread it wide for everyone to see.
And then you take those tea leaves and you gently roll them in your hand.
It's hands-on.
You make little pearls out of them, or roll them into cigars.
Sometimes you make what's called a dragon's tongue. That's with the oolong. Oolong.
It's nice in my mouth.
I love the way oolong is in my mouth. I find it is sort of subtle and satisfying. And the thing about oolong, it has a round your lips when you say it. It's much better. I think.
Yes.
So the thing about oolong, though, is it has a special oxidation process. And they stop it just short of becoming like, I guess, fully long. I'm not sure. But from oolong, you... The emperors liked it.
Well, we can't argue with the emperors of China. They'll go to war with you if you do.
It's so true. The thing about the emperors of China is they become wroth with you if you mess with their tea, because they're very possessive of all of their tea. In fact, if you try and steal one of their bushes, they are all over you.
Not in a good way.
No. Sometimes they blast off with cannons.
Some people enjoy that sort of thing.
Occasionally.
I like a good cannon shot.
But the thing is, their cannons were a bit insufficient to meet the cannons of the British Empire when they came forth to bear their mighty, mighty need for tea. They just delved into the delta of China. There's some ocean, and then there's like a river that explodes into that ocean. And the Chinese thought, we'll protect our delta, as you do. And the British said, no, we are going to attack your delta. Yes, darling.
They just took a very big plunge, didn't they?
Such a large plunge. They brought their biggest cannons.
And all of their balls.
All of their balls! Oh my heavens! The thing is, the English balls were much harder than the Chinese balls. I think they were bigger, and the thing is that when they hit, they exploded upon impact. It was messy. And violent.
And short.
But the first time was short. But the second time was longer. And then the English were tired. They needed their tea. And so actually after the second time, which we call the Opium Wars, there were two of them, they decided that they better just sort of sneak a Scotsman in, because that's what you do when you're tired and you're English. I mean, personally,
True words.
I love it when a Scotsman sneaks in. It's the kilt, really. Oh, everyone look at Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. We do adore you. I have a whole cup to pour all of this liquid in.
And now your cup is full.
My cup is full. I think I'll just suck it down again.
Sid, don't chug.
Really?
What was the quote from a Scotsman I heard?
Oh, so anyway, sneaking in Scotsman, as you do. Oh, I needed a drink after thinking about that. So there was this delightful Scotsman, James Fortune. That was his real name. Can you believe it? Being born for such glory, such sneakery, such prowess. in high, hard places as James, and getting the name Fortune in the boot.
He probably also had it monogrammed on his hankies.
I hope he did. I hope he carried those hankies with him across the Himalayas with his band of Sherpas to go kidnap the Chinese bush. I mean tea bush, obviously. Thank you. Darling, you're so... Are you a ginger?
Yes.
Good ginger action. I mean, I'm a fan of gingers, just throwing that out there. So James climbed steadily over the Himalayas, and he sort of, snuck in under the cover of darkness, probably, or under some covers, we're not sure. And he abducted
An innocent tea plant.
a bush that had no desire beyond providing copious quantities of liquid pleasure in its future. Or tea.
Yes.
Yes, and this poor tea bush was shoved, nay jammed, nay manhandled into a glass jar, which Mr. Fortune handled with some fortitude, I think, into his own large sack. He put it on his back, probably. I assume it could have been a sporin, but that'd be a lot of bush in a sporin. Actually, I don't think it fit, do you? A whole bush in a sporin.
Well, it depends on the size of the sporin.
That's true, some sporins are very large. But this was a large, hardy bush, one that was ready to produce for a long time. And Mr. Fortune jammed it into his jar, collected it into his sack. That's a lot of intos, and I'm having trouble getting into it. And then he scampered, again under cover of something, across the Himalayas with his Sherpas into India, as you do.
Did he take his sack undercover?
I'm fairly certain his sack was also
Because the
undercover.
Himalayas are very cold, and I would
Oh.
want my sack undercover.
In that case,
If I were James Fortune, I would definitely want to keep my sack warm and undercover.
I'd want to insulate that sack, maybe hold it with both hands.
That would make climbing and walking very difficult, I would imagine.
The walking part is easy, but the climbing is very, very hard.
As a Scotsman, we tend to let just all hang out.
Oh.
That would be chilly.
Right, in the Himalayas, even.
Well, I understand that Scotland is very cold, but this is the Himalayas.
I mean, I've been to Scotland in July, and I thought I would die from the cold, honestly. I was so grateful for all of those delightful men blowing bagpipes. Yes.
Do the Sherpas have to take turns carrying the sack?
I suspect that Mr. Fortune requested that in the utmost polite way of a Scotsman for them to take turns carrying his sack. Because when you're a Sherpa, it's nice to be asked, don't you think? I agree. What a delightful question. What's your name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. And who is that delightful person on your arm?
This is Catherine.
Catherine, you don't have to answer. It's all right. Giggle away. I mean, sometimes you practically vibrate with giggles, and that's all right. I've been there a time or two.
You have. And everyone enjoys it.
They do. I'm not sure why, but they talk a lot about robotics at the time. No! I can't take any more. I need to recover. That took a lot out of me. All right, they're safe. I'm only allowed one costume failure at a convention. So we have to be careful here.
No, we didn't have a costume failure last night.
No, we didn't. That was brilliant. Everything stayed where it was supposed to. Just like I like it, including Tyrion. And the lemons. So James and his sack. They made it all the way to India. And Gabriel, do you know what happened when he finally arrived in India?
Tyrion was there. Great big wet mess.
No, a hot mess.
Oh, dear.
Once primed, easy to fire.
Sweet baby Tesla. Right. So when he arrived in India, he had to bury that sack of bush.
He had to plant the bush
He had to plant it
in a hole.
in a hole. A deep hole.
A dark, moist, fecund hole.
Oh, it was fecund.
How many of you know what that word means? You guys are so smart.
So fecund. Should we explain it? Or should we ask someone to explain it? Raise your hands again if you know what fecund means.
Hi, Matthew. You raised your hand.
Hello, Matthew. What does fecund mean?
I can't remember the exact definition off the top of my head.
Well, just say whatever comes first. Let's
Fertile, it was one of the...
Fertile. Boom.
Chippingly off your tongue, you say that like a pro.
Like that. Right on the money.
I am sure you know what fertile looks like.
Well, I mean, he's probably seen flowers.
Have you seen flowers? The luscious petals as they bloom.
So those are fertile flowers. Voila! There's nothing like the opening of petals on a posy.
Or a lily.
Oh yeah, or an orchid. Orchids.
Tea.
So, he buried his bush
That he kidnapped from China.
that he kidnapped from China.
In Indian soil.
Yes. It was rather brazen of him if you think about it, because I don't think he asked India's permission to bury his bush.
In their soil.
Indeed. And so the thing is that James was not very inquisitive about certain things, but he understood plants. I mean, he was, after all, a botanist. So he knew one bush from another bush.
Kind of.
I mean, well,
because this whole thing.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, that thing.
Well, so James knew that the bushes in China were the bushes he wanted, obviously, because he kidnapped some bush from China. And he understood that the bushes in China would get on rather well with the holes in India, as it were. But what he didn't stop to think about were all of the bushes in India. He rather ignored those bushes, didn't he? And all along...
Because he preferred Chinese bushes.
I think he did. That cheeky Scotsman. Do you think it was the kilt? I hear they have plaid in China, too.
Actually, yes, they do.
They have
And
plaid
in
in
Hokkaido.
China. What, in where?
Hokkaido.
Oh, that's Japan, right?
Yes.
Oh, they have tea also.
They do.
They're rather fond of their tea. They have a very long, slow process by which they provide it. There's a lot of, wrist action in that one, though.
Oh, yes, it's
Whisking.
Whisking and frothing.
Oh, the froth. And then you drink the froth, don't
Drink
you?
the froth.
Or do you
along
wait
with the liquid goodness.
Oh, along with the liquid goodness. You don't wait for the froth to settle.
No,
You just swallow it all.
you swallow it all.
And so it goes with tea in Japan. You swallow it all. And that is the polite way to handle Japanese tea. Swallow the froth.
If your tea is very, very hot in Japan, you may slurp it.
Oh, sort of sucking it down slowly.
Well, yes. And noisy.
Noisy tea drinking in Japan. That's
Yeah,
polite. Oh, please show us.
Sip, don't chug.
No, she's going to slurp. I feel like I understand so much more about Japanese tea.
Do you want me to do it again?
I mean, later.
Okay.
All right. So, here he arrives in India, and the people of India are sort of bemused by all this planting of bush. I mean, they already have bush. They have many bushes. They're like, what's the Scotsman doing? What's he planting?
He's planting a bush.
Why is he in Darjeeling, for heaven's sake? Like, we don't even have a train station. All we have are, like, trees with long, hard branches. We're not keen on bush in Darjeeling. That's for Assam. But did Mr. Fortune ask them? No. Did any of the English ask them? No, because if the English
are good at asking.
don't ask, then sometimes the Scotsmen are like, well, the English didn't ask. We've got kilts. Maybe we'll just swagger in there with our knees. Yeah, everyone look at Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Your knees are delightful. And so
Nine.
scandalous. So,
And dimpled.
oh, he showed us more knees.
I'm
Thank
very
you.
intrigued by the little dimple right there. It's almost hidden by your hemline and shadowed.
That's a lot of
I don't need-
No,
Yeah,
just
right, yes.
yeah, what? Good. All right. So, but Mr. Fortune and the other members of the British Empire were so certain of the primacy of English and had no knowledge of this little thing called etymology. And so they never stopped to ask themselves where the word tea had come from. They just embraced it, that if you said tea loudly enough, everyone would know what bush they were talking about. They sort of went in guns blazing, full throttle, all of the force and a lot of loudness. I mean, it was full tea, really. Right? And so they arrived in India, and they never stopped to consider what chai was, or the fact that cha was the word in Chinese, and that it had slowly, inevitably, made its languid way across Southeast Asia into the warm bosom of India, where it transformed from a little char bush into a mighty, mighty chai. A lot of spice.
And vanilla.
Oh, I like the vanilla finish, really. So the English were like, oh, we want tea, we've gone to war, cannons blazing,
We kidnapped a bush.
kidnapped a bush,
We've planted it in India.
we've planted it in India.
And we're going to grow our own tea now in India.
And the Indians were like, all right, go ahead.
We'll just take our song.
Right, we call it chai. We put milk in it so it's creamy. And all the while, the British were busily growing Darjeeling and then taking it home and mingling it with all manner of other teas, as you do. I mean, sometimes you just want to move the tea around and blend it, feel it with your hands, sniff it, maybe, swish it around in your mouth, see how it works.
You should always try your tea before you take it home.
Oh, right. Don't just take your tea home and hope for the best. Give it a try. So, it turns out, though, all this time, as we know today, that chai actually meant tea in Hindu. And that the English just couldn't be bothered to study etymology because it hadn't been invented yet. I mean, eventually there was the Oxford Dictionary, and it elucidated a few things. But until that point, they were confused on the issue, and they were growing all of their bush in Darjeeling and importing it for their pleasure back to London. I mean, they probably let the Scottish get a hold of a little bit of bush. I'm not really sure. What do you think?
Matthew?
Matthew?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Well, if they didn't, there wouldn't be any Scotsmen by now.
That's a... well, they did need something warming and fortifying, and then it's nothing like the juice of a good bush to keep you fortified. They just don't know what's coming next. Have we, bludgeoned them enough with the bush?
I think so.
We should move on to something firmer or different. I'm not really sure. What do you think, Mistress Margie?
I think they've had enough bush.
Do you think they're ready for the bludgeon?
I think they're ready for the bludgeon.
All right, but that would be like teaspoons, wouldn't it?
I left mine in my room.
You've left your teaspoons?
Yes.
What are we going to bludgeon them with?
The holster was chafing.
The holster?
I hate it when my holster chafes.
Alice, do you have a holster? No, so no chafing. What about you? Whoa. Gabriel, you're wearing gauntlets, or what are those on your arms?
Gauntlets.
Gauntlets, they don't chafe, do they?
Well, he has a sleeve underneath them.
Oh, you wear a sleeve! I always recommend wearing a sleeve to avoid chafing.
It really helps with the protection.
What, you brought me a teacup? How delightful.
10, I think. It's 10.
It does say TeslaCon. All right, there we go. There, it's more subtle now. Maybe if I, waited.
I think you just have to, insert it more firmly.
There you go.
Voila! Inserted more firmly. Thank you. So here they are. They have their Darjeeling, and they don't know about their Assam, and they certainly don't know about the secret tea, the hidden tea, the tea the Russians have been pilfering all along from India under the very knees of the Scottish. Mr. Fortune thinks he's got, a lock-in on the Darjeeling, but the Russians are sneaking in for the great game, if you will, and they're like, oh, tea? We like tea in Russia. We like to, boil our own and add something sweet to it so it's more, hardy and thick and lingering in the mouth. And so the Russians... What?
They don't just add vodka?
No, they actually add jam to their tea. It's like quite an experience.
Sticky.
It is sticky. It's sticky tea. You have to be careful not to spill that tea because if it gets on your hands.
It's quite whenever it ends in your mouth.
No. You really want to drink the tea, right? So you have to be careful how you handle that tea. And also, I have to admit, the Russian tea is very hot and served in very tall glasses with jam.
Makes it thick.
Yes, and fortified. But that tea is called Nilgiri, and it is also from India, and it's very rarely served in the United States because the Russians have hoarded all of the Nilgiri for themselves to make a big sticky cup of tea. Tall, long, and sticky, as you do. So there are three kinds of tea tea that are now local to India, but only 2 of them are native. Otherwise, tea really essentially comes from China and sort of spread out in the most glorious profusion from that place to go everywhere, kind of like a harlot. If you think about it, I mean, with teas, hello, how are you? Now, do come in. We like everyone in here. We just like, open it up, welcome them in. Your shirt is very red. Do you like tea?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. You're in the right place.
Yes, we're only talking about tea, nothing else whatsoever.
True words.
Yeah?
Yeah, and you know, everyone keeps their teacups here these days. You should try it, it's quite comfortable. So Margie, you know something about the frothy tea of China. Why am I stealing your cup? I've got my own. But it's empty.
So she kind of means Japan.
What did I say?
China. It's close, you know, all us Orientals look alike.
You can say it, I most certainly cannot. Have you seen me?
Yes, I've seen a lot of you.
Well, that's true. I mean, I believe last night you were hands deep in my tea kettle.
Elbows deep in your bustle.
You and Tyrion and the angry lemon wielders. Yeah, the delightful lemons. Quoi?
When life gives you lemons, blow people up with them.
You know, that's actually a very good plan. And you see, there were these very short, angry dwarves from Mordor chasing me around with lemons yesterday. And I'm fairly certain if any lemon would explode, it would be those lemons. I mean, if you think about it, fire, ash, Sauron, growing lemons does not sound healthful. Quoi?
Sounds like those lemons just need to get blown.
Or maybe they just need to be set on fire. Do you think we should ask questions?
Are you guys ready to pelt us with questions?
Oh, yes! Raise those hands. Show us the fingers. Yes, madam. Right, but now, Madam Chapeau, I'm watching you. You're glorious. I've got my eye on you. But right behind you is another lady. And trust me, I can take you both. So go ahead, madam.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little about the history of red bush tea.
Red bush tea. Well, as a ginger, I really should know a thing or two about that, don't you think? The thing about red bush is that it's not properly a tea bush. It is, in fact, a tisane. It's a different plant. Oh, I've used it all up. It's dry. Oh, thank you. I'll take some of yours. And so it comes from Africa, but it is invigorating, even though it's not caffeinated. And even though it does not come from the camellia family of whatever that Latin word is that we can't be bothered to remember this evening because whiskey tea. Yes.
Cassius?
Something. It sensed something. There was a delightful young lady yesterday who could actually remember the Latin every time. Is she here? No, alas.
Sensius.
Sensius! Thank you, Overland Trout. You are delightful. So the truth is, my darling creature, and I do love that choker you're wearing. Oh, Hal. Thank you. Are you wearing? Oh, look at that plaid. Now, go with panache, because we feel strongly about the efficacious effect of men in kilts providing tea. For the entire empire. I mean, really, I thank you.
For the Empire.
For the empire. God save the queen.
God save the queen.
My goodness, I'm getting water and liquid everywhere. So, right, actually I know very little about red bush except that, I mean, it's red and delightful, that many people like to, imbibe in it. But it's not properly tea. However, it does give you a bit of a high, and, you can't have too much red bush is really what it boils down to. It's not like tea. Tea gives you the jitters. Red bush just gets you going and keeps you there.
Actually, with enough tea, you can become tea drunk.
Oh, I love tea drunkery. I would like to get tea drunk, actually. I haven't done it in a while.
No, true words. You can get tea
Yes,
drunk.
it
You
is.
drink enough tea fast enough, you can get this, euphoric, invigorated, invincible feeling. It's actually really quite... Western science, Western medicine hasn't decided if it's a true phenomena or if it's all in our heads, but we don't really care.
No, because sometimes...
Because if it happens in my head, it's real enough.
And sometimes you want it in the head. First chapeau, because you're lovely, and then I'm going to get to you, mutton chops. All right, madam, you had your hand up. Yeah, you lovely girl.
Is it still true? I don't know if you know. Is it still true that more tea is imbibed in Scotland? I don't know if it's per capita or something, where they beat out everyone else in the world, even though their population's small.
Well, they feel that way about the red bush, certainly, in Scotland. I think it's something about the ginger populace. So I'm not surprised, or I wouldn't put it past the Scottish, to be the preeminent drinkers of tea in the world. Because really, when you're Scottish, you just go all the way. It's the kilt. However, I do not have the facts or figures in front of me. What I know is that the most tea in the world is produced in India these days. Even though China is larger, India just knows how to put it out. I don't think that answers your question, but I hope it amused you. Also, you're lovely. All right. Yes, you.
Now, your euphoria from tea
Yes.
could be from the fermentation, the travel time.
Of the tea?
Well, it's just not an isolated phenomenon.
No.
It's not.
No. It happens often.
Use your Google foo.
I read stories about the tea leaves that have gotten mold on them.
Oh.
The fermentation.
Well, that's kind of like organ poisoning, but no, it's not that. It's like good tea, and I've never had this phenomenon off of the horrid Lipton, but good tea in mass quantities will actually give me that whole euphoric, I can do everything feeling, not quite to the extent that it does Madame Askew. But it is actually a documented phenomena, just not documented by, Western scholars with letters after their names.
But I've documented it often. Yes.
Can you give us more specifics about how much we have to drink and how fast?
Well, it depends on the person, like the whiskey tea. Different amounts affect different people at different levels.
It's true. I find the Highland whiskey tea affects me very well, and that I quickly arrive at tea drunkenness with the Highland whiskey tea. But when it comes to sort of a Darjeeling tea, I think if I do like 3 pots in an hour, the triple effect sort of, explodes within my veins, and the next thing you know, I'm transported to a new plane of existence. It's euphoric. Euphoric is a good word. But sometimes I forget what I'm saying while that's happening, and people just have to bear with me and hold on for the ride, really.
I have actually worked with her under these conditions, and she'll look at me and she'll open her mouth and it comes out and that's it, and then I have to read her mind. Fortunately, because she does this, she goes, And then I have to read her mind.
But usually I'm vibrating so hard at that point from the
Yeah, her
caffeine.
thought just kind of vibrates off of her skin.
You've unleashed monsters into this audience! 3 of them! You and 2 Booty! Oh my
heaven! 4 minutes? Really? Well, we're gonna have to wait.
It's true. Let's cut this off before it happens.
No, too late. She stopped making
No,
noise.
she'll pull it back. We've many a D&D game where she can pull it back from this point.
It's too late. Just let her go. You're just prolonging it now.
Oh, just let it go. Let it go. They want to hear your titter anyway. Let it go. Oh, come on, Jocelyn. Just let... Okay, now you can stop.
And there's no point in going on until like...
There you go. Just let it out. Let it out. Just relax and let it happen. Just relax and let it happen.
Just kind of ride with it.
Yes.
I would ask him if he wanted a cigarette, but you don't smoke.
No, I merely drink tea. Lots and lots of tea. All the time. Yes? What? Quoi? You lovely man with your dragons and your wily ways and your big pipe.
Don't forget the wand on his hat.
And the stick in his hand with the big red knob on it.
Quoi?
Your opinion on black tea.
Well, black tea is strong and robust.
You go at great lengths. Get it.
Well, really, the thing is, I love it entirely, and I drink almost exclusively black tea. I'm a particular fan, if you couldn't tell, of Darjeeling, which is a fine black tea, though illicitly abducted from the bushes of China. And that tea has actually completely overwhelmed my system and filled every molecule of my being with its essence. You know, as you do with a cup of tea.
What are your guys' views on green tea?
Well, it's frothy.
What? I actually happen to like a wide variety of green teas. My favorite at the moment is a blend called Genmaicha, which is green tea and roasted ice. It's very, like I said, it's my favorite at the moment. The green tea that's most commonly available is a sencha. But green tea comes in so many varieties. I mean, it's not just Darjeeling. Yes.
No. In fact, they're all the same leaf.
It's just a matter of how you prepare it. Like green tea isn't allowed to oxidize as much. It's roasted pretty fresh. There's a white tea, which is new, very new.
Just the buds, ready to go.
And that's very delicate and floral. And the
Yellow tea.
Yellow tea.
Which is like somewhere in between white and green. It's pretty fresh, but it's a little bit more seasoned.
It's a little grassy.
Yeah,
it sounds funny because we just talked about green tea, but it's a little more grassy, or like hay. It's more like hay.
It's like the spring, really. I feel like it tastes like spring.
And then you go all the way to the other end in the green teas where you have matcha, which is like the espresso of green teas.
That punches you around the face, really.
It does, and it's quite astringent. So unless you like very strong tea-flavored teas, most people in this country like doctor it with milk and sugar and call it green tea latte, and I don't like them.
No, what? Why?
I like my green teas naked.
I like my green tea naked too. Why would you ever cover it up like that? Let it go.
Let it be free.
Let it just spread its wings and fly into your mouth.
Okay. So we've actually been told that we are at time. There is
Yes.
one more question.
One more. Goodbye, overland trout.
We love your cod.
Your cod is amazing. Thank you for bringing it here tonight.
What's
Yes.
the best temperature to cook tea?
Oh, well.
Well, you don't cook tea. Well, you roast it at the beginning.
To brew. To brew. Oh, good. Good, definition of terms there, which
And
we like.
the short answer is it depends.
No, I mean, really, just don't get to 212. I mean, go to 212 tomorrow for the teapot racing, but don't boil your tea. Just wait until the water is just about to burst with excitement. And then it's...
Want to wait until the kettle's ready to scream?
Yeah, just before it's ready
Before
to...
it screams. Just before it screams is the time to strike.
Yes, perfect. That's the time. It works for almost every tea.
Because if you're striking when they're screaming, you're doing it wrong.
Touche, madam. Touche. Oh, no! 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 Oh, my goodness. Do you know how much water I've had to drink in this panel? You cannot make me laugh anymore. All right? I'm cutting you off. And you too, mutton chops. I'm watching you.
Well, you shouldn't.
What is your name, darling?
Kelly.
Kelly. I like Kellys. You look very good in blue, but you're a dangerous woman with your wanton, flinging arm ways. Can't trust you. No.
We know.
Oh, you do. So if you ever want serious answers about tea, we actually can provide those. I don't know if you actually learned anything tonight.
I think they learned quite a bit.
Some of what we said was actually rooted in fact, as it were. I mean, hard scientific fact, even, if you will.
I like my science hard.
I do too. I really like my science hard and vigorous. So, but I think that's all we have. That we have to wrap it up and finish and let them go on their merry ways. So, especially our delightful mistress, Countess Chaos, and a compatriot, Count Chaos. Please thank them. Without them, we would not be able to keep going over and over again like this. And wouldn't that be sad? So thank you all. I hope you had fun. Thank you. Kelly, you were lovely.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition, and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.
Troublemaker. You're a troublemaker too! What did I tell you? I had like 3 billion bottles of water.
Just trying to push the limits.
Oh, my limits are legion. Mostly.
It was nice to meet you.
It was very nice to meet you, Kelly. I hope you had fun.
Oh, I did.